So I've been having this debate in my mind and conversations with others regarding how movie theaters and the film studios in general are going to cope during and after this pandemic. My concept when this all started was great. Now we can get films delivered straight to the home, which I've foresaw many episodes ago the industry turning, and basically for business reasons. Basically, I'll scratch your back if you scratch mine. There is resistance in the old school way of thinking, which if you've ever listened to me, you know that I am a fighter against that. I just read that the film Trolls, the sequel, was released on video and released at home for on demand, and it grossed $95 million. The article also goes on to say that I believe that the budget was $90 million. Whatever it is, because you know they hide these numbers, the film is still considered a success. See, it says the 90 million plus DreamWorks animation film is a sequel to the 2016 hit that grossed 150 million domestic, 350 million worldwide. Now, when you're releasing a film VOD, it's your choice. If you want to go worldwide with the snap of a finger, if you want to roll it out here in the US and then slowly, based on those results, do it by country basis. Wherever these films, your genre, is popular, you can do so. I am not one to believe that the 95 million is where the film is going to stop, because once films are out of the theaters, they still earn money, and the system bullshits you, and they tell you that these films don't. Even the worst films that you've seen are successful over time, and you may even see sequels and go, well, why are they making a sequel to this? They only make sequels. The film is making money somewhere. With that being stated, for the life of me, the conversations that I've had were, why aren't we going to see Black Widow on Disney Plus, even if it costs a few extra bucks to stream it? Doesn't make sense. They pushed it back from this month of May into, I believe it's supposed to be November. Top Gun, which I thought was going to be a summer film, and I'm ashamed that they have not, that it wasn't, because it's not going to get released. Keep getting pushed back, or it's being released actually later on this year, I think around November, December, which baffles me because it started out as a summer film in an era that really had a lot of big summer blockbuster films for that year. Anyway, this is going to flop, and there are going to be major lies that are going to be told to us all. They're going to roll out films, and they're going to talk about, oh, this film was a success, and da-da-da. I have a feeling that there are going to be a lot of number fudging, a lot of BS, because since there is no cure, this is just the opinions of me, in order to successfully open up theaters, remember when you go to a movie theater, or you look up the times for a movie theater, you have the 10 o'clock show, then you have the 12 o'clock show, and you have the 2 o'clock show. That now has to get pushed back based on how they're going to clean the theaters now, because there's no more just sweeping up popcorn. Now you have to make sure that the seats are sprayed, the railings are sprayed, the steps are sprayed. What is their system? I have no idea. I know the various ways that you can create disinfectants, and you can have someone manually walk through the aisles and spray. That could be one way. I don't know. Even still, I bring this up because the cleaning time now is going to take a little longer. Thus, allowing shorter screen times, not for the movie time itself, but just you can't. More than likely, they're not going to be, an all-day screening now. It's going to be shortened. Well, I can't say an all-day screening. Let's just say, for example, you went to your AMC, you looked at the listing, and the film was going to be screened 7 times throughout the day. More than likely, that's going to be cut down to 5 times, or maybe 6, thus cutting into the distribution pie and the return on the investment. Excuse me. So these changes, in order them to successfully work, is going to affect the business. I personally believe a year off should be taken theatrically. It's unfortunate that AMC and Regal and these different theaters that they might go into bankruptcy or lose the chain altogether. But there have been talks of Amazon purchasing either both or one of the chains. It's just talk at this point in time. And I believe that if Amazon does one, I would not be surprised if like Netflix steps up and does the other. Because when you look at it, both of those channels have had have shook up and caused a disturbance within the industry, with people complaining, why do VOD films at Amazon that they get to screen one time and they're getting nominated and they're getting awards? That cuts all that bullshit out. If they pick up these theaters, they purchase these theaters. Either way, a year should be taken off until we find out what's going on with this. In order to successfully do this in its current state, I can't even say successfully, because a safe way to do this, you would have to, because we have to be, the ruling is we have to be 6 feet away. People cannot be governed, and they're going to be as slick as they can. I still see it. You would have to remove seats from the theater 6 feet apart, which is probably every 3 chairs. Thus, that's going to also cut in to what you would get on your return. So now you have less screening times and less asses in seats. Because if you keep the seats in there and you just tape them off, that's not going to work. If you put some sort of a lock on there, any way that somebody can sit on top of something, they're going to do it. And I wouldn't even be surprised that after you pulled out the seats, someone sneaking in the theater or whatever is going to sit in between there on the floor. Because people don't give a at times. When they want something, they want something. When they've been at home for such a long time, for those that can't stand being at home and being creative and doing stuff that could actually help them, like reading a goddamn book. And there's so many shows that are on TV. I was having a conversation with my sister and she was asking me, what should I watch this weekend? And I was just throwing stuff out. And we just kept talking about, like, Dad, there's so much content out, so many shows that we have to catch up on because we've been busy. Just in general. So it's not like there's not stuff to watch at home. There's plenty of things to watch. There's old films. You can go into your Blu-ray DVD collection. I always get an itch to go do that and just watch a film. And just well, I'll wait to disperse that idea. Let me just stay focused. Anyhow, you would have to remove these chairs. And I'll give you an example. Let's say, at AMC that I frequent, they would have to remove the chairs, and they could either shut down a specific theater where they would store the seats for a specific time until they can get all those chairs sent out and placed into a local storage facility until further notice. This concept is solely on we're playing it safe. We're going to avoid any lawsuit at all costs. Because if you pull out the chairs and someone decides to get slick and sit on the floor, AMC is not liable for that. We pulled out these chairs so that the patrons would not sit on the chairs, letting you know that there are no seats available for you to be in this theater. Plain and simple. And you can write that down, and you can put that in front of the trailer, and you can do all that stuff. People are still going to do whatever it is they want to do, even if it means them sitting on the steps, because they don't give up. As long as you cover your ass. So that would have to be one way. The second way, of course, would be, as I stated, the cleaning. I don't know how they're going to do that. Third way would mean you'd have to hire more people to monitor the babies in the theater. And I mean the adult babies when I say babies, because as I just stated, they're going to do whatever it is that they want to do. Plain and simple. And I'm not sure if these theaters reopening, let's just say AMC and Regal, just to name those two, aren't purchased by these companies that I mentioned earlier. That means now they have to get more funding to be able to hire more people. And then on top of that, and the reason why you have to hire them, because they're going to have to be inside of the theater pretty much, if not watching the whole film, standing on their feet and directing traffic to make sure that people don't get in and you're not sitting too close. Then you're going to have a specific section for mother and child, or mother, father and child, or mother, father and children, because they have to sit together. They've been around one another, so that's going to be a whole other section. Now, if you have a movie like Trolls, where this is adults and children, because children aren't going to pay for a movie and then go by themselves, they too have to be governed. So that means you have to completely create a different paradigm for those movie theaters and how you're going to allocate those seats, because you don't know how many children are going to come in with those parents. Single father, 4 kids. Single mother, 2 kids. Mother and father, 4 kids. Mother and father, 5 kids. What are you going to do when summer camp, let's say per se, or school wants to come in? How do you handle that? So this is crazy. And this is greed for them to open this up. Especially on top of that, when Oscars and all those other award shows have already come out and stated we're welcoming nominations for the films that could not be released theatrically, that had to be VOD, released on demand and streamed. So this is asinine. This is I'll scratch your back, you'll scratch mine, and business as usual, whatever. I'm not going to a theater, and I'm fine with that, because I'm not putting myself in that position. It's foolish. You know, the only time I've seen theaters empty is very early in the morning, the matinee, or when a film is pretty much done with its run. You know, like right now, if Star Wars, which came out last year, was still in the theater, which is something else I'm getting ready to transition into, then I could, or you could go in the theater and see it would be empty. But you would still need the staff to make sure, because you never know. Now, maybe they may not have to stay in there that whole time. They might come in and spot check. Okay, there's like only 5 people in this theater. I don't have to keep my sole focus here. The new Iron Man film just came out. I got to go monitor that. And then you could rotate that staff. Then there's talk about the concession stands, gloves and mask. Keep in mind now you're dealing with open food. Popcorn, it's open. It's not in a bag, it's open. Soda as it comes out the fountain is open. Not that this means anything, because I can't, I don't believe that it's airborne. We don't know, and I'm not living in fear like that. But what do you do if it's, 7 months later and you find out, guess what? It's airborne. Guess what? Susie's glove had a hole in it as she was digging into the popcorn, or had the scooper, and then the heat hit the glove and bam, and she came up, and then whoop-de-whompty. The reason why I said there's going to be a lot of lying, as I go back to that, they're going to fudge numbers. They're going to say that this film made so much money and yada, yada, yada in the first weekend just to get you to come out. I'm not going to buy it. They're not going to tell you how many people, because they're not going to be able to track it probably. How many people are probably going to end up getting sick? Do you actually think that someone's going to sit in the theater for 2 hours with a mask on? Because they have to eat their popcorn. And that consists of an inhalation and exhalation. And what happens if you, by chance, cough from one of the kernels? It can happen. And you don't know whether you're positive or negative. These are things that I'm bringing. I'm not bringing up fear. I'm bringing up what could seem like fact-based information, realistic information as to like why there's such a rush to open up the theaters. Just for business sake. Why don't you speak to Congress and get a bill that's passed that says, hey, we feel that we should stay closed for a year. Can we get a stimulus check for that when we reopen, because we're taking a serious hit? These are the numbers that we project. It's possible. We just gave out, $2 trillion and another $3 trillion that's dropping. It's not like the money's not there to be produced. It's not like people after a year are not going to come out, especially knowing that there's another Marvel film. There's like 40 Marvel films coming out a year. And, at least one decent DC film, if you're lucky. And one decent Sony Marvel film, if you're lucky. So I bring that up to say that people will come out in droves for the comic book films. Anyhow, I transition into when I made mention of the Star Wars film coming out in December. What you're more than likely going to see with theaters rushing to open up now is a throwback to the Lucas era, the Spielberg era of early days, where you're going to have longer runs. This went into up until like the era of the multiplex. Longer theatrical runs are probably going to come into play in order for the studios and the film houses to get a return on their investment, because of the shortened theatrical times now. The 7 times are now cut down to 6 or to 5. So you may see longer theatrical runs. So remember where Avengers came out in like May, and then they were wrapping it up by like July, and they were pushing it because they wanted to hit $1 billion. But a majority of the films, they get like a 2-weekend span and they're done. They're ready to push in the new big film, unless the film is really, really kicking numbers out like that. So when you have a longer theatrical run, then that means you're going to have to push back the on-demand DVD Blu-ray run, 4K now, unless you're doing what Universal has stated that they're going to do since the success of Trolls, and now they're coming into opposition with AMC because they don't want to roll with the times, and they're going to find that they're probably going to go under. And they might go under even if Amazon picks them up, because it's still going to be a money pit if they open up too soon. They're talking about, because we haven't even hit the summer yet, officially. Maybe July or August, still too soon. November, still too soon. And we're not even discussing what happens if this is like the Spanish influenza and there's a second wave. The death toll is going to be crazy. That flattened curve is going to be a curve. So, and I don't even want to talk about if they started to open up like dance clubs, which I don't see happening. I don't see too many bars opening. I don't know. It's just my feelings on it. People are going to do what they are going to do for monetary gain, and the result is going to be the results. And that's all I can say about that. So, I don't understand still as to why we're not rolling these films out at home. They've seen such a spike in various VODs and various Blu-rays. They saw a spike in celebrating Top Gun. So they saw a huge spike in rentals and in sales. You know, so this is not as if they're acting as if like this is a total bust, that films on demand are a bust because they want to keep the theatrical window going. And I don't understand. Release Black Widow. I'm using that as an example because Disney Plus just rolled out their platform a few months ago. And what better way to push their various Marvel content than to release Black Widow on their content and getting people to go, oh, this looks pretty cool, for people that have not subscribed. I don't know. This greed is a bitch. I understand business, but why can't AMC just create a digital platform that could, supplement what they would lose in theatrical? How do you have an AMC channel where you run, 18 multiverses of The Walking Dead, but you haven't rolled with the punches to say, you know what? Why don't we create a digital platform where we could have our films here? And let's negotiate with the studios so that Warner's won't roll out Birds of Prey only on their Warner's platform or with Amazon, that now they can roll it through an AMC platform that we've created. And it doesn't really take that long to build these platforms. It just takes a very strong technical team to create the platforms and to protect it from overcrowding / buffering of your network and crashing of your network. So this isn't the days of old, of late 90s, early 2000s, phone, internet, dial-up, where systems crash. So I'm not going to really just speak on, because it'll just seem like I'm repeating myself. But these giant conglomerates, these old schoolers, they don't want to roll with the punches. And I predict that they are going to suffer for it extremely bad. Even the concept of the drive-in theater is something that's old, but it's new again. It's still outside of the box thinking. It's still somewhat, it's keeping the quote-unquote social distancing, but you're not going to, more than likely, you're not going to have, the staff coming up to you with, popcorn, unless they're going to have them on carts, a cart that's, like a long form cart that you could, digitally pay for your order, based on where your car is parked. I'm in, space number 13. I ordered popcorn and a hot dog. That gets, you charge it with your debit or your credit card. It gets charged. They whip up the popcorn, the dog for you, and like a cart that's even, let's say that's like 6 feet, or something to that. Well, you can even do it like, a 4-foot cart. And then because the person behind it adds the extra space, they come out, or you can push the cart to the car, they can grab their stuff and you keep it moving. That's something that's a different idea. But to have people indoors, it's just not going to work, homie. I can tell you that right now. It's going to work for your pockets. You're going to get some money, but people are going to fall out. There's going to be a spread, a contagion, if you will, that's going to continue to happen. And I believe that we're going to be lied to. They're not going to completely tell us all these numbers of like where it's coming from. And that's all I'm going to say on that. I'm going to leave that alone. You guys can discuss amongst yourselves. Leave something in the comment box. Let's have an open discussion. And kindly subscribe. I don't really ask a lot of people to subscribe, even on my wrestling posts. And I'm asking you, if you're listening and you're new to this channel, we do film. I discuss film, I discuss television, I discuss pro wrestling in general. All three of them are from a filmmaker's perspective. So join us on this channel. Let's chit chat. Thank you. Give us a like, give us a comment, be respectful. And later.